We're talking with Michelle Singletary, who writes the Color of Money column for the Washington Post. Michelle, why are people scared to talk about retirement?
You know, for a lot of people, it has been this thing that they've put off for so long. And I think the other thing is we've delivered the message that people need to save for retirement. But they know that they need to save a lot of money, and they're so scared that they don't have enough that they just put blinders on. It's like putting your head in the sand, because to face it means to face the fact that you haven't saved enough. And what I try to do is say, it's okay, no matter where you are, if you're 5 years away or 25 years away, you can still plan. You might have to change some things if you're closer, but I think most people are scared because they think they're not going to have enough money, and most people don't.
So what advice do you have for journalists to get past the jargon and acronyms that go with writing about finance and money?
If you're a journalist writing about retirement and money, get past the jargon. Drop it. You know, you're not writing for your sources. You're not writing for your editors. You have to appeal to the regular folks who are so mystified by this all. And, you know, the best advice I got from someone when I started my column is to just keep your focus on one person. And for me, it was my grandmother. Write the column like you're talking to your grandmother. What would you say about Medicare? How would you explain Social Security? How would you explain, whole life insurance, or if you should get it? And it's not about dumbing it down. Sometimes we say that, but it's just because you want that person to get that information. I mean, we are truly the service journalists, and when we're writing about retirement and personal finance. And if we want that person to go away and make a financial decision that's going to help them, then we have to write it in a way that they understand. And simple does not mean that it's not sophisticated. Simple doesn't mean that it's that they're dumb. It just means you want them to get the baseline information. I think one of the biggest compliments I ever got was from financial planners and other people who say, you know what, I send your column to my clients because I couldn't get to them what I was trying to tell them about their money.
And putting people anecdotes and stories, good, not so good.
I always think it's good to personalize personal finance because it is so personal. So I write a lot about me and my children and my planning for retirement and saving for their college education because it's relatable. When you talk about personal finance and investing in retirement, people's eyes go up, they glaze over, and God forbid you ask them to come to a seminar about it. It's like, no way, they'd rather run in the street naked, And so you gotta make it personal because it is personal. And I do think you should use personal anecdotes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, because you need them to engage, and people engage when they read about other people.
Story ideas. What tips or resources do you have for journalists to find story ideas on this beat?
Go into your community. Go to community events. Go to the church. Go to places where people are collecting and talking about money, because that's where you're going to find the stories and what's important to them. I mean, I'm in my community. I volunteer at my church. I do financial sessions. A lot of the reporters, they got this knowledge. Volunteer, and then in that session, you'll get all kinds of stories, and not just about what you're talking about. You might be doing a retirement session and someone will come up with, now I heard this thing about 529 plan, and then you go, well, okay, as much as we write about it, you think people already know about it. So you got to be out and about, and not just in the newsroom, because lots of us, let's be honest, lots of us work in newsrooms where that may not be the average regular folk. And so you want to be places where people are having real issues, and then you can put your finger on what matters to them, and then they're going to be reading your stuff.
And final question. One of your recent columns was carried the hashtag Ride the Lion. What was the story and what was the lesson learned from that?
I love that. It's one of my favorite columns. And I tell you, the best compliment I got from that column, my husband was at this session where I came from the term, and he said, I was there, and I laughed at the column. So I do a kids and money session, and I get the kids to do a budget, but I don't give them any information about how to do a budget. They just have to pick a career in a city, and I give them a monthly salary, and I say, spend the money. And the things they come up with is the craziest thing. One group was going to ride a bicycle in LA on the freeway because they knew they didn't have any money for transportation. And so this one group had a category for a dog. And that's the first time anybody put a pet in their budget. And one kid said, well, wait a minute, Miss Singletary, I really wanted a lion. And I said, well, baby, why did you want a lion? He said, because we have a used car, and if the car breaks down, I can ride the lion to work. And we all fell out laughing because, of course, it's ridiculous. And we kept thinking, well, why didn't he say a horse? But in his imagination, he had come up with a backup plan. And I thought, this is a perfect column about saving for college and saving for retirement. You got to have a backup plan, because that's really what we're talking about, right? When you save and you plan for retirement so that you can have everything there for you. And I just thought, that is my new favorite financial phrase, ride the lion, because that symbolizes that you got to be creative and you got to plan. And if you don't have a car, ride the lion. You know? And it was so precious out of the mouth of babes. And it was a teaching lesson for all of us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.